what would Steve Howe play if he was in Dream Theater? So that's kind of how I thought about it. All of these songs are melodic. And if I don't have a melody, I just don't use the song.
Did you use any artificial intelligence in the generation or compilation of the musical materials in this album?
No. My religious belief is that we are all created with a one-time opportunity to express the gifts that we've been given and to be good stewards of them.
You whisper by with your mind in your eye, seeing nothing that's there but the bones of the bear dying.
All right, today we're going to do something a little bit different. I am going to be interviewed by my dear friend of 30 years, Chris Opperman, the incredible musician, and we're going to be talking about my new album, Okay, But Why? Chris, thank you for doing this. It's weird to be interviewed. I'm never being interviewed on Make Weird Music, so I appreciate it.
No problem. I when I heard the album the first time, I was like, someone needs to interview him, and it's gonna be me, and we're gonna do this. So I'm very excited about this record. I saw you got a lot of really encouraging comments already and reviews already, and I want to congratulate you on those. And I want to also say they're all very well deserved.
Thank
This
you.
is also an album of the year contender for me. Just so you know, it's one that people are gonna try to beat if they want my attention. It really is a great, great record. I've really enjoyed the time I spent listening to it. I've heard it about 4 or 5 times now, and it rewards multiple listenings. I think that everyone is in for a treat here.
Holy cow, thank you. I appreciate the praise. Thank you. It was a lot of hard work. I'm glad you enjoy it because I know you are not easy to please, and you have some not only high standards, but a very particular and unique ear for music. So thank you.
You're welcome. I was very impressed with the tightness of the musicianship. I was impressed with the compositions. I was impressed with the with the videos for almost everything. It was really impressive. I just It's a really impressive record. I'm not here to fluff you, so I'm gonna ask questions now.
Yeah,
Now the hard hitting
good.
stuff. Now
Good.
the inner's gonna come out. Pow pow. All right.
I'm going to be as red as this shirt by the end.
I got a mega sunburn. Don't worry, you won't beat me. I got surprised by a 90-degree day in May.
Mowing the lawn.
Yeah, I'm mowing the lawn. All
All
right,
right.
so all right, what I want to start with is actually a hot topic in musiciandom as it
Uh-huh.
is. Did you use any artificial intelligence in the generation or compilation of the musical materials in this album?
No. The only AI I used is I made this really terrifying video to promote the album with some very strange animated effects. And I might have used it for some YouTube video descriptions or something, but otherwise, no. There's too much joy in what I do with the music, and so much of the composition preceded the ability to even use AI. However, to get a little contentious, and I'm not sure where to bring this up on Make Weird Music, so I might as well do it now. I have used Suno to take some of my own musical ideas. I'm using the paid account. I know people are going to get upset. You're paying this company, but I want to try it. It's also good, if it is truly evil and the enemy, like it's good to know your enemy and understand how your enemy works. But for me, I uploaded like 3 song ideas that they're just riffs that didn't go anywhere. You ever get stuck with something and it's like, okay, I can hear a couple variations on this motif, but where might AI take it?
Well,
And
that I've never only because I've never thought that. I've had the problem where I'm like, I have these musical ideas that don't go anywhere or don't lead into anything. So
right,
they just wind up being orphans,
yes,
right? But I never thought, let me see what the algorithm wants to do with it. So tell me that instinct and process.
yeah. To me, it's kind of like I use AI for a lot of writing assistance, and I have 2 AI agents who work for me. One of them shared, a document with you and emailed the 2 of us and all that stuff. But for me, I was just thought, well, better to try instead of letting these ideas be orphans, maybe something can happen. And it definitely gave me some new ideas. But it's kind of like, at least with words, when you're typing, you can't tell who typed the words. But when you listen to this music, you can absolutely tell, like, this doesn't sound anything like my music. Yes, the musical information is there, the riff is there, and it's being expanded upon. But I could never produce music that sounded like that, even if I wanted to. And so in my mind, it's truly a great idea machine. And I've had a few friends send me songs they've done through Suno, and a couple have been super impressive songs, like really great songwriting, but it started with good material. So I would never use AI for an album. There's, like I said, there's too much joy in the writing and the performing and the learning and the practicing. I wouldn't want to skip that. But I don't mind the idea of, like, let's hear a complete different take on this. When I was working on Three-Legged Dog, I score out most of my music so that I can learn it. And I sent my friends a MIDI file. This is how the song works. And one friend turned it into a dance mix, and used this like hilarious, like, I don't electronic keyboard for the whole ending, the last like 90 seconds of it. It's one of my favorite things just because he completely threw me off the rails. My idea obviously turned out the way it was on the album, but this dance mix version was just hysterical. Using Morgan Ogden's drum track with these synth keyboards on top was great.
I hope you share that with us so we can get down to it in the dance club.
I should see if I can find it.
Wow,
How cool is that, right?
that's really cool. I don't know why did that not make it the record?
I don't know. It's cool, but it's just the little clip. I don't know. What am I going to do with that?
Make it an appendix. I don't know. That's really cool. It reminds me of when Andre LaFosse did a version of my piece, "Are We Living in a Computer Simulation?" And the piece was not in a meter at all, right? The drummer and the bass player are free to play whatever they want over the ostinato, but it's a really long ostinato. It's a minute long. And he put it in 4/4. It's like it's in 4/4. It was like so like and everything was accented now. You know what I mean? Because it was like
Right, yeah.
No, remind me of that. It's very cool. All right. All right, next question. This is probably the most muso question you're going to get today.
Okay.
So the motivic structure of Three-Legged Dog has
Uh,
a lot of strong three-note sequences, sometimes followed with an extra note or even micro-cadential transitionary material, leading to the next three-note sequence. Now, what I find interesting about that is it really creates unity within this piece that has a multi-modular and sometimes surprising structure. So it kind of enforces some kind of unified field, right? How did you conceive of these patterns?
it to me, it's a very simple song. It's just like 4/3. So the way I think about it is, I just wanted to have a steady beat. So it's really just like, how do I do this 4/3 thing? There we go. So it's really like, it's not that complex, but I just
Well,
thought,
that's the accompaniment, right? The melodic shape of it is more complex.
right, but to me, it was just, it started as a picking exercise. Like with a pick, I just thought of it as a hybrid picking exercise. Like, what would Steve Howe play if he was in Dream Theater? So that's kind of how I thought about it, and it turned out that way. I thought it would be fun to do something like that. So your analysis of it is far more intense than the depth, the thought that I provided. I didn't even realize it was three note groupings until you said it. For me,
Oh wow.
I'm just thinking, da 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 da, and for me, like, if I can't
Well,
whistle,
that's what was interesting was because you had strong things and then weak things that weren't in three note groupings.
yeah.
So, and it went throughout the piece. And then it had all the sextuplets. I must have way overthought this, but
Well, maybe not, but for me, if I can't whistle a whole song, I don't like it. Uh, for myself. So if I write a song, I have to be able to sing it or whistle it. So that's kind of my litmus test for, is the song melodic enough? Um, and everything. That's probably a Steve Vai influence thing. But also, there's this song called Softly as I Leave You by Frank Sinatra. And my dad's great uncle wrote that song, and it was a huge hit. And so my dad, as I was growing up, told me this story of his uncle Tutto. That was his nickname, Uncle Tutto, who would walk around with like a briefcase full of sheet music, and he'd have an accordion, and he would say to my dad, "Anthony, it's all about the melody. It's all about the melody. If you don't have a good melody, it's not a good song," you know? So in my head, all of these songs are melodic. And if I don't have a melody, I just don't use the song, because it's cool to hear a song of riffs, but that's just not what I want to produce in the world. I would like for people to have something to hum along with or get an earworm, instead of just like pure riffage, because I think there's a lot of bands who do that really well already.
excellent. I agree with you about melody. I think that it's really important.
Well,
So I want to talk about the song Binge then, because I feel like that song does have a melody that I could sing if I was a good singer, but it does feel a lot more willfully weird than a lot of the other material on the album, right? Like it's
yeah.
mixed hot, like real hot. So talk about that. Tell me those decisions.
That started out on acoustic guitar with one of my favorite songs to play on acoustic is Michael Hedges' the second. What's the first song on the band or this album Oracle, and he tunes down the low E all the way to an A. And so I was just kind of just sitting here strumming, like very Michael Hedges. You know, just getting that really deep sound. And I thought, that sounds cool. And then I recorded that, and then it's like plug it into a little bit of distortion. And distorted acoustic guitar, I think, is just such a cool sound. And as I just played with the idea over the course of days, I thought, da 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 da. It just, that melody just came to my head. And for me, if a melody sticks with me for more than a month, then it's a keeper. And that was a melody that just stuck around for months. And it was
So
many.
how long does it take you to write a song? I mean, if you have to decide for over a month if a melody is good or not for not, like how long? What is the gestation time for an Anthony Garone composition?
I just assumed no one would ever hear this music, so like it didn't really make, like, that question doesn't enter my mind. For me, it's like, what would be fun to play and learn and hear, and it helps me have some chops, for like an excuse to keep my chops up and to learn to mix different sounds. If I hear a song that inspires me, I'm just like, I wonder if I can do something that sounds like that. I mixed and mastered the whole album except for Three-Legged Dog, which my friend Russell did, but the rest of it I did. And when it comes to song writing, all of this is like, it's just so organic and it happens over time. Some of these songs take, I don't want to say years to write, but years to finish writing.
Sure, that's
Because
a good way to describe it.
a little piece will come here, a little piece will come there. Sometimes I put things together. The song Dance, in particular, I did the first version of it in 2013 or something, and it was just a joke that I wrote this song, and then Owen, the 17-year-old drummer, learned my drum part, and I said, "Hey, here's a joke song that you can learn," because he wanted to record some stuff, and he actually notated my drum part, which was just beyond baffling to me. And then it was like, well, if he learned this much, we have to finish writing this song. So he and I, we worked
I
through.
fully agree. A teenager transcribes your drum part, you're now morally and ethically obligated to finish the song. Definitely,
Yeah,
hard agree.
right. And so like after that, we just worked in the studio for a couple of days, and he's like, I said, well, here are some ideas, and he's like, what if you did this, or what if you did that? So I should probably have given him some writing credit on that.
Not too late.
That's true. I think I have, hang on. So yeah, like I just sequenced the whole thing, which is what I normally do. I'm usually just writing for piano, and then so I'll try learning it on the guitar. I do it on the piano first, so I don't do things that sound guitaristic. I want to
Thank you
just
for anticipating and answering my next question.
yeah, I just don't want to sound cliche. And again, for music that you think no one is ever going to hear, like you just do it for the sake of it. And so I just I love music that has pentatonic scales. I just don't enjoy writing any of that. And so there's only one pentatonic moment on the whole album. Well, one intentionally pentatonic moment on the album. Pentatonic minor blues. And that's what I did in Death Trap. There's a part of the guitar solo that goes into that. But otherwise, if you think about Harnch, that's a very pentatonic kind of song, but it just doesn't follow real blues structure. So and it's so melodic. The motif is so long that I didn't feel like it was pentatonic, although it relatively is.
Okay. What percentage pentatonic do you need to be fully committed to pentatonic?
Do I need to be?
Yes, you specifically, Anthony Carone. Yes, you are the judge and sole arbiter of your own music.
If I hear a pentatonic moment, I generally try to scrap it.
That's awesome. I love it. What's worse, the pentatonic scale or the hi-hat?
Oh, I love the hi-hat. To me, the hi-hat is an instrument. It's a drum set plus a hi-hat. If you listen to great players who use the hi-hat, it's a world of its own. And just the surface of the hi-hat, the interaction of the cymbals, it is unbelievable to me. It's one of my favorite sounds and instruments ever made. And this guy Mike Stone, I interviewed him because he got to try out for Primus. Like he was one of their finalists. And I'll never forget, like he did a video where he put a tambourine on top of his hi-hat, and it was the most mind-blowing sound I've ever heard on the drums. I couldn't believe it. I play a lot of drums. That's my primary public instrument, not the guitar. And so I have a real appreciation for good drummers because I am not one.
So you're not one, but you do play professionally in your church ensemble.
Yes, because those songs are 4/4. It's more about the dynamics. Like I play musically on the drums, but I don't like as soon as they're like, "Can you do kind of like this syncopated XYZ?" I have to like sit there and compute it in my head, and then I'm like, maybe, yeah, I think I can pull that off. So yeah, I don't. It's not. It's intuitive in that I never learned to play the drums. I just play the drums, but there's a level of complexity that goes beyond my intuition, despite practicing.
Fair enough. So how does your activities as a church musician affect your songwriting? Or how do your religious beliefs inform what you're doing?
Oh man, those are two completely different questions. Okay, the church music, we play primarily, well, we play a whole catalog of music from early church music and chants, ancient chants. We play hymns from the 1200s, early music.
So
And
you play
then,
early music with drums added?
yeah, sometimes, yeah.
I totally want to hear this now.
You probably don't. It sounds more interesting than it is because we sort of contemporize it. But there are some of the hymns are to me some of the most beautiful music ever written. Um, of the Father's love begotten. That hymn is devastating to me. There are some hymns that just they're so deeply beautiful and meaningful and incredible. And then there's contemporary Christian music, which is it's like the fast food of music to me. And when you talk about my religious beliefs around that, I'm
I mean, to
Catholic.
me, it's more kind of like TGI Fridays. Maybe not quite Burger King level, but definitely like
Yeah. Yeah.
Chili's or,
It could be Chili's. some songs are Chili's, a lot of songs are Jack in the Box. You eat a taco and you're like, is this meat? And then you find out, no, it's just tofu or soy. Anyway, my religious belief is that we are all created with a one-time opportunity to express the gifts that we've been given and to be good stewards of them. And so that is a huge, huge underlying motivation behind Make Weird Music and my own creative expression. I don't listen to music and think, wow, this person is gifted. I generally think this person is expressing something that took a creative risk that was likely developed through intense practice and self-discovery and exploration of the world around them. And so the musicians on the channel, I avoid anyone that has ego. It doesn't mean I don't have anyone with ego on the channel, but in general, I look for people like you who, you know what you're good at, you know what your gifts are, you know how to use them, and you don't use them for the sake of the love of money. And this album, Okay But Why, available on CD and vinyl.
That
and
was good.
digital.
I like also the vinyl and the CD at separate
Yeah.
times. Like really good marketing. Bravo.
Thank you. This album is an expression of the love of the ability to be a guitarist and a musician. And I just think if we believe in a God that created the universe, there's almost no expression of 4/4 in natural, and I mean like the metaphorical equivalent of 4/4, 3-chord music in the broader world. You dig underground and there's incredibly complex anthill systems. There's fractals everywhere. Things grow in spirals. There's if you go to the desert, there's life everywhere. There's cacti and animals and just things that you would never expect. And so I love what Trey Gunn said about music, that we are like mathematicians. They don't own the math. They discover the math and they put it to paper and say, I found this equation and it works. And so you just got to keep digging. And in my mind, like, God didn't create a world where every pebble is the same and this pebble looks like that pebble. And there's a lot of quartz in the world, quartz and, mica and all these different, rocks, granite. But for me, I don't think that's what I've been called to do. I think I've been called to do something more expressive and artistic. And I'm not that's not a pejorative insult against people who do music that's maybe more commercially viable or people enjoy it more at a greater scale. That's just not my calling, not my gifting.
I'm going to argue that it might be enjoyed at a greater scale, but the people engaging with it may, in many cases, not be engaging with it in the level of detail that your fans are engaging with your music.
Yeah, and those are the people I want to engage with. Like, I'm looking for those people. You have to remember, Make Weird Music started at 0. And it started after years and years of 0. I would make music and you would listen to it. It's like I'd have 4 people, you and Todd Wellstein and maybe my dad and 1 or 2 other people I would send the music to. And that would be sort of enough. But I hoped that by putting stuff on a website and telling people about it, I would get more than 0 listeners. But I literally had 0 every single week. And I just got so dejected that I said, I'm going to throw out anything with my name on it. Like, there is no Anthony Garone. There is only a guy who does this channel. And so I started Make Weird Music hiding my name and never being public about who I was or what I liked, because I just thought nobody cares about me. But the stuff that I like, maybe there are other people who like that too. And so I just started the channel out of a don't look at me, look at them kind of mindset. And it served me well. It's taught me about humility. And more importantly, my wife said, you just found your crowd, You spent all those years believing that the crowd didn't exist. But that's not true. And now you found your people, and that, like, the fact that I can release an album that looks like this.
For editor's note, I had opinions about that.
Yeah. And sell hundreds of copies in the first week. Like, it's mind-blowing to go from literal zeros every week to numbers that end with zeros.
That's sweet
Yeah, thanks.
and well deserved and well deserved.
Thanks.
It's beautiful. We've always made beautiful music, though. I do want you to know that I've always thought your music was beautiful and interesting and colorful and wonderful to listen to. And
Wow,
there was
thank
never
you.
a time when I did not believe that.
Yeah, and that's one thing that, I mean, we shared music with each other back on AOL, and we're still sharing music with each other today. So you find your people, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you found your people because they deserve to find you.
Oh, thank you. Thank
And I
you.
think you're going to find a lot more people with this kick-ass record.
I really kind of hope so, because right now I release a lot of things. I have a pile of books that I've written over there. And when there's sort of like a breaking point where Failure to Fracture was like my only successful book, because it felt like my world changed after I wrote it, because there were people reaching out from all over the world like, hey, this thing you did, I need to talk to you about it. But right now, this feels like just another thing that I made that I'm going to try getting out of my house so I don't have boxes of it. So, but
I
like,
have boxes of my stuff, man. That's because you're a musician. You got boxes of your stuff. It's
I get it. Like, for me, I'm just like, I hope that I can unload all of these to people, and that more people still want it, because that would feel like, okay, I did make a little bit of a difference, you know, beyond just like your initial run. Like, we did 2 or 3 print runs of Failure to Fracture, and I'm not saying it's insignificant or anything, my other work. It feels more like labor of love. You did this project, you paid a bunch of money for it to happen, and maybe you'll break even. But to have a project that people actually like and resonate, you know, around, to hear you say it's a contender for album of the year for you is unbelievable to me.
Well, I do give out an award every year. I don't know if you knew that.
I did know
On my
that, yeah.
birthday.
Yeah, and the
And
Weebies
that's
really loved the award last year.
Oh, wow. Wow, well played. Wow, that's totally like shot all my thoughts out of my head. Way to go. All right, I'm gonna find another question now. Oh, I remember what I wanted to talk about. You recorded a song that your father wrote,
Mhm.
a very beautiful song.
Thanks.
And I wanted to know, I'm looking up 1 second.
We've done a few albums together. If you look up Tony Garone, you'll hear a bunch of music that he and I have produced with a bunch of his friends.
I don't think I actually met your dad.
No, I don't think you
I
did.
hope I do meet him someday because I always liked him.
He's in
Um,
Connecticut, so not too far
oh
from you.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well we should all hang out then.
Yeah.
All right, we'll edit out this totally boring part. And oh, here we go. All right. So My Garden was
Mm-hmm.
written by Tony and a gentleman named Scott Harris,
Mm-hmm.
and your father sings on it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a recent recording of him singing, or is that an old recording of him singing that you put music around?
I think we released that around 2011. So he still sings. Like, he's got a lot of new-ish music out, like, in the last couple of years. And he's working on a new music project right now for a film. He's very active musically, but he's been singing. He was in a band called Heresy, and they did like King Crimson, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Jethro Tull, kind of a lot of 70s prog cover music on Long Island in the 70s and 80s. So, you know, he's a professional singer and songwriter.
I was really struck by how beautiful the song was.
It is a great song. Scott Harris, I think, just wrote the lyrics. My dad, I think, did all the music.
So why that song, and how did you interpret it for your album?
It's just a good song.
Asked
it,
and answered.
I mean, it's in 5/4, which I like, and then I was able to play around with some of the rhythms and make it. I felt the original recording, which you can find on Spotify or streaming, by Heresy. Um, I felt it was just too 80s synth driven. And to me, it was a real rockin' song, but it lacked the rock energy, the oomph. And so there's that section in near the end where it switches from 6 to 5 to 6 5. That was sort of my touch on it, but it mostly is just a reinterpretation of the original tracks.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a good song. I liked it. It stuck in my head. It's got a strong melody, and I was like, yeah, why not?
Was your dad very happy? Did he feel honored that he recorded a song?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And like I said, we've done a whole lot of music together, several albums together. So
Have you
it's
done the Three Generation album yet? Because your son is also a grand musician, right?
well, this album would be the Three Generation album because my son is on dance and maybe one other song, but we haven't done a project with the three of us together.
I hope you do. I would look forward to hearing that.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Thank you. I have good ideas at least once a month. I've used mine for May now, and now I'm just screwed for the rest of the month. All right, my next question about Erudite Eyes
Yeah.
by Robert Fripp.
Uh-huh.
So you mentioned how much you love that song in the video that I watched, but what is it about that song that speaks to you so deeply?
Actually, I can speak very specifically about that.
Right after you tune back up to E. I gotta say,
No, go ahead.
watching you detune down to the A string and then hearing how flappy it was really explained a lot of what I was hearing when I listened to the song. And I was like, oh, what a cool, it's like a technical, actual technical explanation for the sound coming
Yeah.
out, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So the beginning of the original song goes like, but it's this part. My mind was blown by that G major to or G7 to F major. Why can't I play that? It's so simple. And then E major to the F sharp minor. That was one of the first things I learned on guitar. And those chords haunted me. And then I was like, the rest of the song is so upbeat and happy. Like, how can someone write something so hauntingly beautiful? And then it's an upbeat 60s, da 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 da, and literally the drums like so like it just seemed like a travesty that this incredible moment of musical beauty was surrounded by something that seemed so unidiomatic to me. And I thought, if Robert Fripp were to write that song today, I don't think it would sound like that. I mean, I don't think he would ever use a G7 and an F major chord, but like that to me was such a musical opportunity to do something to capture that sort of dark moodiness of what I felt playing those chords. I just can't tell you. It's like there are these micro moments in music, especially when you learn music. There's like little runs in Bach partitas and concertos and stuff like that. Like you learn these twisty, turny things, and it's like, how does that work? That's the most incredible thing. And sometimes when I'm learning classical guitar pieces, I start them slow, and then I realize, oh my goodness, this piece is so beautiful slow, and I'm playing it at half tempo, and it's like just hearing the chords and watching the interactions and seeing this music sort of unfold under your fingers, and then thinking you're supposed to play this twice as fast, but I'm so captured by the beauty of it at half speed, like doing something slower. I don't know. So there are a lot of these little moments I have when I'm practicing where I just think I I need to find a way to capture that for myself so I don't lose it, you know?
It's beautiful.
Do you experience that? I mean, you are such a gifted
One
pianist.
time with Mike Keneally, we were doing The Universe Will Provide, and we are working on a song, and he had this riff in the violins, and I thought, man, wouldn't it be great if we had like just some gorgeous counterpoint under this line? And so I spent like 3 or 4 hours auditioning chords, right? Just really getting into it. And I'm like, okay, now I have the most beautiful counterpoint. It's all one-to-one counterpoint, but it's fine. It's really gorgeous. It's not just gonna move. It has like contra melodies and stuff like that. And everyone's like, and I was just like, well, but I feel like you can feel the heart in it. Like even if that happens, you feel that like someone really like
Right.
put the time into like really trying to make that experience something for you, you know?
Yeah. Sometimes there's just one note that just comes in soaring, and it sits on top of things like I Was Not Ready for You by Keneally. Just pivoting all of the chords around that. I think it's a D natural note. And it's just a mood, and there's nothing like that mood when you're playing music. Robert Fripp has been writing about like turning notes into music, and I think that's like the beauty of practice, that you can transform data into an emotion. And so for me, just that these little moments, I'm like, wow, someone wrote this transitional thing, and it's so vibey. I don't know how to do something with it. I'm working on my new album covering this kind of music in unexpected ways, largely acoustic, but it's going to be like there will be pop music on it with my own arrangement, but I'm hoping to capture those, like, I don't care if the original is cheesy or like junky sounding. There's something magical in it, and that's what I want to bring to the surface.
Wow, sounds awesome.
We'll see.
I've no more time for magic tricks.
I also was wondering what it would sound like to have you do some solo Bach arrangements that were just slow, where instead of having the fast rotation you're used to, you just play it at a third the speed or something, and everyone can just really experience what you're hearing the way you describe with the beauty of the slower playing.
I've thought about recording. I need to identify more pieces. There's like 4 of them that are absolutely, I know what those are, and these need to be played slowly. But I have ideas for like ambient hymns, like those hymns that I talked about, doing them with ambient guitar, ambient instruments, so that like the idea of heaven is that there's no sense of time. You leave the physical dimension and you go to this other place. I don't know. I don't pretend to understand it, but this notion that like you could be in a place where time doesn't exist, how appropriate for an ambient hymn where the melody, this incredibly beautiful melody, is just playing in a timeless, attackless way. You can still get a sense of the beauty of the melody without being constrained by a time signature or even like traditional harmony. So I feel like there's opportunity there for a future album of just ambient hymns to capture sort of my sense of my really, really immature sense of what this place called heaven might be like. So we'll see.
I mean, what I think about is, let's say we were both in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, are we there together, or do you get a version of me that's your idealized version of me, and I get a version of you that's my idealized version of you, and then we have no friction whatsoever because we're in simpatico, right? And if that's true, are we really in heaven?
I guess I would have to consult the great philosopher Dr. Christopher Opperman's work. Are we living in a computer simulation? So I don't quite know. You should follow up with him. He might have the
Oh
answer.
God. Oh, myself, sure.
Same difference.
I love this very serious music interview.
Yep.
All right.
Creator of a universe.
So, in that sense, what do you hope that listeners do not feel after listening to your album?
I don't know. I don't think about how a listener feels. My hope is that the first like 6 songs are as exciting to you as they are to me. When I listened to the first half of this album, I just was like, holy cow. I can't
Yeah,
believe
man.
I not just like I can't believe I made this, but I can't believe the energy of these first few songs. I was not
And these incredible guest stars that you have also, it's like a who's who of kicking ass.
the Morgan Ågren's drum parts transformed every song he played on. Michael Manring's bass parts were also transformative. But I wrote a lot of Michael's parts and he just played them. And so I was like, okay, this is great. You know, it's Michael doing the thing that I had hoped. Morgan, it's like a Pandora's box. He completely changed the feel, the way I heard the time signatures. I had to rethink the songs after I got Morgan's drum tracks. And there's several drummers who I asked to play on Three-Legged Dog, and they said it was too hard. Like the song was too complex. And they didn't have the time or the patience. There were like 3 real drummers that I sent this to that backed out. They said, this song is a little too intense. I don't think I can pull it off, whatever. And I know they could pull it off, but I think they heard it and said, I'm going to have to really practice for this. I sent it to Morgan and he said, I'll just record it in between sessions tomorrow. And what we got, I asked him to make like a couple of changes in the last minute of the song. That was just in between. And so it's like, this guy just heard this song, and in between work, he figured out something that like 3 real serious heavy drummers of just backed out of. And I was like, that's it. He's the guy. Like, there's
Right.
nothing too out there for him or too complex. So the guest musicians are just mind blowing. To have Paul Hanson on, I saw him on the Bela Fleck and the Flecktones live at the Quick DVD, And then I bumped into him at an airport when I was like a teenager after that came out. And I was like, Paul Hanson. And he goes, how do you know who I am? It's like, you're on the Bella Fleck Live at the Quick DVD. He's like, you're the first person to ever recognize me in public. and and then when I asked him to do an interview, he did not remember that moment at all, which was pretty funny. Uh, but yeah, to get him on this album with, I was actually very proud of myself because I brought Michael and Paul together to do a whole concert in the venue behind my house. And they had always talked about potentially playing together, and I made it happen. And then I was able to bring them together on this album in one song. And Paul, when I told him the CD was out, he's like, I forgot I even played on that. So I'm excited that there is a song in the universe where these three guys are all on it together. But the energy levels of the first like 6-7 songs to me are just astonishing. I know this might sound presumptuous, but the way I feel listening to this is the way I feel listening to Passion and Warfare. And I'm not saying I'm that equivalent of, Steve or something, but the level of excitement that I get as a guitarist hearing this record, not because it's mine, but I think I get so excited to hear what everyone else did to make my music better, to make
Right.
like this a success. It's so thrilling to me. So I don't think about what I don't want people to feel. I do think about I hope that I've captured the emotion that I feel and presented it in a way that other people hear it and experience the same excitement.
I'm so happy that you come to that conclusion so early in this process because when I put my records out, I'm still like in the zone of like being really hypercritical. And so then when I hear them years later, I'm like, damn, that rocked. You know what I mean? But when I'm in the moment, I'm kind of like, ooh, I wish I'd picked this note or like
Yeah,
so I'm
I've
happy for you.
that's been a big transition for me, and I actually intentionally left mistakes on the record. There's on Death Trap there are several audible mistakes, things that no professional guitarist would keep in the tracks. And I did that on purpose to allow myself the comfort of imperfection and just knowing that, like, I'll never achieve the true musical vision, but the fact that I'm like almost there, or I'm approaching it, or I'm taking it, seriously and trying to honor that vision, that's enough. Like, I don't need more than that. And so while the guitar performances are very complex on the album, in Three-Legged Dog, that guitar solo, it was one I wrote and it made me hate myself because I couldn't play it perfectly. And those moments. And I've spoken to Keneally about that too, just where like your ego gets control and then you start like getting violent. That's what
You
happened to
know,
me on that.
Mike, when I worked on his live trilogy with the Brian Beller, the 2003 acoustic recordings,
Yeah.
and there was a recording of I want to say with Pride is a Sin, where he played a wrong note or a wrong chord, and it shocked me so hard. The mental gym I had never heard Mike play a wrong chord like in my life.
Hmm.
And the mental gymnastics of trying to reconcile the chord, being like the chord must be correct, right? So I'm like doing all the tensions and stuff. And then I'm like, no, he just played a wrong chord. So it's interesting that, to hear Mike, he's just so unbelievably accurate at all times, just shockingly accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. And I used to feel pressure, but now I realize like nobody cares. Especially nobody cares as much as you do. And so I
Well, and
think,
especially like no one who does care that much, there's not someone to be friends with anyway, probably.
right. And they're not listening for what I'm listening for. And the thing they're listening for is unhealthy. And I don't want that. So I guess if there's an answer to your original question, I don't want them hearing the unhealthiness of perfectionism and pride. I think this album, while it is boisterous and ridiculous, is not prideful. When I hear it, I think this person's having fun. And I'd like to think that the album cover and the art represents someone who doesn't take himself super seriously. It may reflect the opposite, I don't know, but I think it turned out beautifully, and I want people to laugh when they hear the album, you know? I don't want
So you said something earlier about a song dance being funny.
yeah.
And I don't think it's funny in the sense that I'm not. Well, I did laugh out loud, so maybe that's not a great comparison. But it's humorous, but it's not serious, right? Like I wouldn't say that the energy and the spirit and especially the 17-year-old drummer, all of that, that's serious work and effort,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, Andy West told me the Bach piece he recorded years ago was the hardest thing he'd ever recorded, you know, and he played with the Dixie Dregs. And then he told me, I think dance was the hardest thing I've ever recorded. And he wanted me to make a whole video breaking down the composition of that song. He's like, people need to know what you're doing in this. I didn't, and I love Andy, but like, it's hard for me to take the album or that song that seriously. But yes, it is extraordinarily difficult. You cannot play that music unless you're at a very, very high level of proficiency. I challenge anyone to learn dance as a guitar song or a piano piece, because my son, it took him weeks of practice. It took me months of practice on the guitar. It is not a laid back, funny song from a musical performance standpoint.
But what it is funny in the sense that some of Schoenberg's early 12-tone piano pieces are funny.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you're like this guy has a sense of humor. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
so it's
yeah,
serious music, it's generated seriously, but there's a whimsy to it that I feel in dance that really kind of warms my heart.
that's exactly it. Yeah, you've nailed it. Well, you know it. Your music's like that. You're really good at that.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice. So I want to talk to you about rhythm.
Uh,
Well, first I want to ask you, is J.S. Bach your favorite quote unquote traditional composer?
no, I do love his music, and I love learning it. But I would say my favorite in music is is more of like I play a lot of classical guitar, although almost nothing public. Antonio Lauro, the Venezuelan guitar composer, unbelievable. Isaac Albanese from Spain. Um, what's his name? Philip Weiss, German. He wrote a lot of like lute suites. I do love Bach's lute suites. I love some of his piano works. Chopin is unbelievable, but like Bach is kind of the ideal, but not my favorite. Um, Even though I've invested more energy in his music than any anyone that's not Steve Vai, King Crimson, or Joe Satriani or Dream Theater. You know?
Well, yeah, I was surprised by your answer here. It's very interesting.
Yeah, Lauro, I know so many of his pieces, and I just think he was one of the most talented songwriters ever. And Isaac Albanese, some of his compositions are just mind blowing. I love a lot of that. I don't know. I love a
I
lot of
love we got
music.
like 4 or 5 albums worth of material you could do just in this one interview that we've covered. I love that. I love that we're gonna get more music from Anthony Garone. That's good.
There's a lot that I could do. I just don't.
We gotta maximize your gifts, man.
No, I
Yeah.
got to pay my bills.
Bill Schmills. What, you got kids going to college or something?
Yeah. I told them if they don't get scholarships, they're grounded.
That's amazing. That's so funny. So my follow-up question about that is, I noticed that you have a tendency. What was interesting was I was listening to the record, I noticed a tendency, and then when you would break the tendency, I noticed it was a cover song.
Uh-huh.
And that was why it seemed so hard that you did your Fowler song, Robert Fripp song, was because they were doing some of those songs you don't tend to do.
Like what?
Like, so you have a lot of pieces where you have one rhythmic, like pulse,
Uh-huh.
and then everything kind of floats around that pulse. So like
Uh-huh.
you'll have like a string of eighth notes or a string of 16th notes. And what you won't have is you'll have syncopation, but the syncopation is more like a rest between the next thing than it is a continuation of an elongation or a diminution of the note.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So your note values are very consistent. And I was wondering if you feel like that's a side effect of how much time you spent with Bach, who lives in this kind of like 16th note world, right? A lot of the time. And what you could do to you think to break that from yourself.
Honestly, this is a really stupid answer. But I don't know. I use Logic Pro to write a lot of music, and I don't know how to change the grid. I just don't know.
So funny.
That's literally all it is. Uh,
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. You said something really funny. We were talking earlier about how you weren't going to anticipate what questions I ask you, and clearly that is true. Awesome. All right. Well, that's probably a good place for a closing question, right?
mm.
So my question to you is, okay, but what's next?
Oh, yeah. So this next album I'm working on, I'm gonna call it Not Again, um, and I think I have a collection of songs ready to record and perform. The acoustic versions I've done of King Crimson's Discipline, Frame by Frame, and Fracture. Fracture's not out yet, and I thought it would be out sooner, but I have some special plans for it that require waiting on other people to do things. But I recorded my acoustic guitar part and pulled it off pretty surprisingly, like, well, for given that I don't practice the song very much. Um, I think those are a good taste of some of the next album. I'm not, I don't shred. Like most times I pick up a guitar, I'm just playing like country guitar music, um, or simpler things. Like I sit down and just play all that classical guitar stuff like for hours. I just love it. But like I love Jerry Reed music. I like Jerry Reed and Chet Atkins. Oh my goodness. Tommy Emmanuel. Those are the things I really invest
Oh
my,
man, Ty Manuel, what a hero.
yeah, unbelievable. So I spend a lot of time playing that kind of music. I'd like to be able to have music that I can perform live. Not that I would, but when I hear this album, I don't think there's a single song on here I could perform. Like I could play it out in public. These songs are all too hard and they're too out, like you'd have to prepare for weeks to perform this music on the road. And like, I don't mean this to be insulting to myself, but I'm a nobody, like if I put a concert on, I would sell maybe 20 tickets, 30 tickets, like there's no way I could justify like getting a band that's capable of this music out on the road. It's just ridiculous. So it would be nice if I could do some music that is not super complex and is straightforward enough. I'm not going to play Discipline, or Fracture or Frame by Frame, but these other songs that I have in mind are much more um, normal song structure.
I mean, you could do the Fire Garden Suite as a solo, couldn't you?
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah.
I'm
I would
surprised.
love to see your show.
I'm surprised you did not mention Gentle Giant or all of the hocketing and the little counterpoint, you know, moments all throughout the record because I feel
It's in
like
the other 80% of questions I didn't quite get to.
it's very I feel like it may be too much on the album, but I just love Gentle
What was
Giant's
interesting was
little.
that it was like I was wondering there was so much Keneally influence, and I was going like, is it Keneally or is it bands that Keneally was inspired by that I'm hearing filter through him, or both? And I kind of was leaning towards that. There's a lot of Gentle Giant stuff. I was leaning kind of towards both,
I
you
would
know.
not say both. As much as I love Mike and his music, I've not picked it apart. And a lot of this music is very academic in my mind, like on this album. Mike's music is not so academic. And so, like, Gentle Giant, I've spent a lot of time studying and listening to. I know a lot of Mike's music very well, but like not like Gentle Giant. And
Mhm.
so there will be some Gentle Giant covers on the album.
Oh, I look forward to that. I look for. I hope your dad sings one of them,
That's a good idea. Yeah.
and then your son plays keyboards. Maybe that's a tri generational project.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But yeah, I
Now,
have
now
some
I'm creating the
interesting
news instead of reporting on the news.
I have interesting ideas for this next album, but I hope it's a lot simpler and not as ugly, complex, angular, all that stuff.
That's wonderful. I like to see you stretch out and express yourself in many different ways.
Thank you. Thanks,
I'm a big
Chris.
fan. I'm real proud of you. I love the record.
Thank
You
you.
know, thank you for taking the time to let me interview you. It was important to me because I was like, people have to know how great this record is. You know,
I worry there's too much me on the channel now, so like I've got to intersperse it with other bands and topics and stuff. So I'll have to make a couple videos before I put this out. I do have a new playlist I put together called If You Like Angine de Poitrine.
right
It's
on.
all this other music to expose yourself to.
I mean, do you think they're famous because they wear those costumes, those Dada-esque costumes? Like, what percentage of that is the appeal? Because I would go like 87%. I would go a huge number.
I would go a huge number in the totality of it. I think a band getting on stage wearing that is not enough. It's it's the odd instrument and the tight grooves and the very like it's very 4/4. I know they play in other meters and they do some polymetric kind of stuff, but there's always like a head bobbing tempo where you can just like stand there with a beer and be like, yeah, I dig it. And that's great. I mean, it's just so great what they're
Good for them.
doing.
I'm really happy for them. Like, way to break the zeitgeist.
Exactly. But I don't think it's the costume. I think it's like unusual music, unusual time signatures and the instruments, unusual costumes, just perfect timing. They landed at a time where people were ready to hear it. It was like sometimes a band just enters the scene and does exactly this. And there are so many other great bands that don't, and I wish that they did. There's a couple artists that I listen to a lot that I never hear anyone talking about. And I think they've written some of the most amazing and beautiful music ever written. And I don't know what to do about it. It's like, how come people don't listen to this? Whatever.
I hear you.
Thank you for doing this interview, Chris.
My pleasure.
Anyone who wants to buy the album, you go to anthonygarone-moonjune.bandcamp.com. And Chris, what's your Bandcamp?
It's Chris Opperman, just my name, Opperman.
Okay, cool. Yeah, check out Chris's. We've interviewed Chris a couple times. Cribbage Variations, Chamber Music from Hell. What else? Is that it?
So yeah, one thing if I want to shout out one thing, it's that I was really about having a beautiful product and knowing using it. The Are We Living in a Computer Simulation EP has all of the stems for all of the takes of the song, and you can add yourself to the thing, right? You get the original algorithmically generated background, right? The idea was I wanted to take Zappa sound world, that kind of Lydian sound world, and then use Messiaen's um polyrhythmic, I'm sorry, oh gosh, I'm blanking on the phrase, but one of his techniques to it's actually a 13th century technique to generate every rhythmic variation of that combination of pitch and rhythm. And I thought people would really like to make their own versions and record their own solos over it, and no one ever has. So if your audience wants like, but I was like, don't people love when they want totally love to jam over a Zappa thing, like with the drums? Like, I got Tweezer's bass player and drummer, and like my keyboards, and like you could just mix and match and make your own thing. I thought it was super cool, and no one ever did it. So that's my shout out to myself. You should go to Bandcamp and make your own version of my song.
You heard it here first, everyone.